All right, today we're jumping into a huge topic in tech and business right now, AI risk. We're going to explore how you can take all that uncertainty that comes with AI and actually flip it, turning it from a problem into a real strategic advantage.
You know, AI isn't some sci-fi thing anymore. It's here, right now. It's powering fraud detection at your bank, it's helping doctors with diagnoses, it's even customizing your shopping experience. The big draw, of course, is that AI feels like this super employee, a tool that promises to automate tasks, boost our own abilities, and just speed everything up. But here's the catch, right? All that incredible potential comes with a big dose of uncertainty. I mean, how can we really be sure these super complex systems are safe? And what happens when things go sideways? These are the really critical questions we've got to answer.
So, to really get a handle on this challenge, let's break down what's basically a fundamental conflict. You've got the amazing promise of AI on one side, and on the other, this whole new world of peril that every organization is trying to figure out how to navigate. Okay, so the promise side of AI, that's the easy part. We all got it. More efficiency, doing things faster. But it's the peril side where things get really tricky. AI can be a total black box. That's what we mean by opacity. You don't always know how it got to an answer. It can also evolve in ways you just don't expect, which leads to unpredictability. And if you don't have clear guardrails, well, it can actually pull your whole organization off course. That's strategic drift.
And this stat, wow, it really tells the story. Despite all the buzz, a recent KPMG survey found that only 11% of companies are actually deploying AI agents in a big way. Sure, lots of companies are playing around with small pilot projects, but they're hitting a wall when it comes to scaling up. And why? It's that uncertainty, that peril we were just talking about, that's really holding them back. And listen, these risks aren't just theoretical ideas on a slide. They are already having massive, real-world impacts. Let's dig into a case that makes this, well, crystal clear. So the story kicks off with a suspicious email. An employee at this big global engineering firm, Arup, gets a message. It looks like it's from his chief financial officer over in the UK, and it's asking for a pretty large money transfer. Right away, he's a little skeptical.
But that skepticism, it was about to get completely steamrolled. He gets invited to a video call to talk about the transaction. And on that call, he doesn't just see the CFO. He sees several of his other colleagues too. Seeing them, hearing them, it convinced him. So he made the transfer. A transfer for $25 million. This case is just a brilliant and frankly terrifying illustration of the new reality of AI risk. The employee said it himself. It looked and sounded like my colleagues, but all were fake. This was a sophisticated deepfake attack, a whole new level of cybercrime. We're not talking about a typo and a fake email anymore. This was a completely fabricated AI-generated reality, convincing enough to fool human intuition and cost a company millions. And deepfakes are really just the tip of the iceberg. The risk landscape is huge now. You've got things like data poisoning, where bad actors intentionally screw up the data an AI learns from just to mess with its results. Then there's prompt injection, which is basically using clever tricks to make a model ignore its own safety rules. And on top of that, you have algorithmic bias, models drifting off course over time, and even malware that's been crafted by AI. The scale of the challenge is just immense. Okay, so the risks are real, they're intimidating, I get it. But the story doesn't just end there in fear. We have to start shifting how we think about risk management. It's not about being defensive, it's about being strategic. Think of it less like a brake pedal and more like an enabler that lets us move forward, but with real confidence. I love this quote from the source material. Risk management isn't about slowing progress, it's about accelerating the right kind. That's the whole point right there. By putting the right kind of governance and guardrails in place, you actually give your organization the freedom and the confidence to innovate and adopt AI faster and way more effectively than your competitors. So let's start with a really clear definition. According to the international standard ISO 31000, risk is simply the effect of uncertainty on objectives. That's it. AI doesn't change that basic idea. It just brings in new, really powerful types of uncertainty that can affect a company's goals. All right, so how do we actually build a practical framework to manage all this new uncertainty? Let's take a look at the structure that successful organizations are putting in place. The absolute key here is to avoid creating some separate AI risk department off in a corner. You have to integrate it into your existing enterprise risk management framework, or ERMF.
And this model, the ERMF house, shows this perfectly. You start with a solid foundation, your people, and a culture that's aware of risk. The structure itself is built from clear processes and systems. And then it's all protected by the roof, strong governance with really defined roles and responsibilities. AI risk has to be a part of this house, not some weird shed you build out back. Now, a really practical tool for this is called the risk bow tie. It's a fantastic way to visualize and manage a complex risk. So right in the middle, you've got the risk event. In this example, it's bias data. Then over on the left, you map out all the potential causes, and that's where you put your preventative controls. On the right, you map out the potential impacts, and that's where you plan your mitigating controls. This helps turn a vague fear like bias into a concrete, manageable problem with clear spots where you can step in. Okay, we've looked at the problem, we've looked at some of the tools to tackle it, so let's wrap this up by outlining the key principles for the path forward. So, what are the big takeaways? First, and this is crucial, integrate AI risk into the framework you already have. Don't silo it. Second, always remember that proactive governance is what gives you the confidence to actually innovate and move faster. Third, define your risk appetite really clearly. That gives your teams the freedom to experiment, but within safe boundaries. And finally, you have to treat this whole process not as a chore or a compliance burden, but as a strategic enabler that's going to set you apart from everyone else. Look, AI brings a ton of uncertainty, no doubt, but it also creates incredible advantage. The organizations that are going to win in this new era are the ones who learn how to manage that uncertainty to unlock the advantage. So the question is, which will it be for you?